Shabbat Shalom, my friends. Good to be here again. Sing with me. Bim bum, bim 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 bum, bim 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 bum, bim bum, bim 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 bum, bim 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 bum. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom. Let's bring it on. I'm gonna light the candles. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. You know, when we do a mitzvah, like lighting the candles, we have to move from our thought, Shabbat's coming, and we have to take our body and go do something. And I know you can't light candles there at Rhoda Goldman Plaza in your own apartments, but you can cover your eyes, you can take in the light with me and say the blessing with me, and you're using your body to do a mitzvah, and that makes it a wholeness of our mind and our body all together. And we're lighting Shabbat inside of us when we light the candles. That's what we're doing. So let's invite the angels in. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchoni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu. And let's dance with the bride. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el ham yuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shemo tiferet v'litchila lecha dodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Come, my beloved, let's go out and greet the bride of Shabbat, and we'll bring her inside. You know, this is based on a Jewish idea where when a guest comes that you go out to greet them and bring them in the front door, and when they leave you accompany them past the front door, past where you met them when they first came in. That's the way Abraham, our father, greeted guests, and it's a model for us of how to make the guests feel special rather than just sitting in your chair and saying, oh, goodbye, and they leave. Now, of course, if it's hard for you to get up and walk, to go out and do that, it's understandable. It's understandable. Okay, let's read our special verse for Shabbat, the Psalm for Shabbat. The righteous shall flourish like palms, grow tall like cedars in Lebanon, rooted in the house of Adonai, in the courtyards of our God. They bear fruit. Still fruitful in old age, they remain ever fresh and green, proclaiming that Adonai is just, our rock in whom there is no wrong, even though it's a lot of it beyond our understanding. Tzadikat ha'machar yifrach ke'erez ba'avanon yizkei shetulim bevet Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvon b'seva t'shenim v'rahnanim yiyu lehagid ki yashar Adonai tzuri velo havlatabo. Well, last week in the Torah, Moses was creating order. He was giving tasks. Well, first he took a census of all the men 20 years old and up who would be able to come to do war if they needed that. And putting things in order, giving various tasks to the tribes, telling them where they were going to camp around the Mishkan, the little portable dwelling place for God that they made to carry through the desert. And this week, the portion is called Nasso, to lift up. And it's the word they use when they're going to say, take a census, to lift up the head, to countenance, recognize, and count each person. And that's what I want to talk about this week, is recognizing and counting each person. Because this week Moses has a challenging task. He's down to the tribe of the Levites, who were not going to go to war because their job was going to be to take care of the Mishkan. Remember, to set it up when it was time for them to camp, with all the curtains and the poles and the timbers for the flooring, and the various implements for the special mizbeach, for the altar, and the lampstand, and all the special things that they needed. That was for the tribe of the Levites. Now, within the tribe of Levites is the line of Aaron, who's going to be the priests. And then there were the other Levites, the cousins, if you will, and nieces, or not nieces, no, women weren't involved, I'm sorry to say, except for taking care of their husbands. But the nephews, all the line close to Moses. In fact, Moses' brother, Aaron, nepotism, okay? Moses appointed his brother for the next highest position. And it's a little bit of a touchy business, because you can imagine some people would get jealous and say, well, why didn't I have the line of the priests? But what Moses does is kind of beautiful. He takes each of the branches of the tribe, the Meraris and the Kohathites, and he gives them special jobs for each one. And in a way, he's lifting up the head of each person and saying, you're very important, and I need you to do this particular job. And without you, this job is not going to be done. And so he's acknowledging and countenancing each person and each tribe within the tribe, each branch within the tribe, and showing them that they're important and they're needed. And this concept that we find in our Torah, which we often miss because in America, in democratic countries, we're used to the idea that ideally, even if it isn't played out in detail, ideally each person counts and each person is important. That's a new idea at the time when the Torah was written. It was written at a time when there were kings who were thought of as gods, and the populace was for them to use to enlarge their territory, to go to war, etc. So it's a radical idea, but we don't see the forest for the trees here in our day, in our country, in our social class at this time. We say, yeah, okay, sure, everybody counts. But that was a new idea. And I think what the portion is trying to teach us in terms of leadership is that a good leader understands their job as not being a king, but as being a servant to serve the people. And in fact, Moses is known as Eved Elohim, the servant of God. That their job is to serve the people, and the best kind of leadership acknowledges each person for what they can give, their special attribute that they have to add to the whole. Each person is valued and needed. It's a beautiful lesson, and it comes to us through our Torah this week. Let me have a drink of water here. Okay. And we'll we'll sing our song of peace. Usei shalom bimromav, uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. The Torah, Eitz Chaim hi l'machazikim ba. It is a tree of life to those who grasp hold of it. V'chol netivotecha shalom, and all of its pathways and byways are ones of peace. I think that's especially true in this week's portion. So let us say our prayers for healing. So bring to mind those people who need healing in your circle. And I especially want to mention I won't mention her name because I don't have her permission, but the wife of a colleague rabbi, and her husband is a colleague rabbi, and I'm thinking of her at this time to bring wholeness to her body. Okay, you got your image of your people and say their names. Okay. Mi sheberach avotenu mekor habraha limotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habraha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And let's take a few moments to remember those whose lives have been a blessing but who are no longer with us. If there's someone in your circle who has died recently, or you're commemorating a yard site, let's bring them to mind right now. And we'll say Kaddish for them. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayehon uvyomehon uv'chayei the whole Beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv ve'imru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Leolam Ul'almei Almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitwamam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitale v'yithalal Shmei Dekudesha B'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran b'yalma v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba min Shamayim V'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru. Amen. Osei Shalom B'mromav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel V'imru. Amen. So I hope we'll say our Kiddush, but my hope for you is that you take a moment or a few moments during the Shabbat, maybe a few times, to pause and speak your own words to God, whatever they might be. Words of praise at the splendor of the world, words of help, words of gratitude, thank you. And just take a moment to be together in your own relationship with the greater power. And we'll celebrate, because Shabbat's coming. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. L'chaim, l'chaim. And I hope you have a special meal tonight. We'll begin it with bread. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat Shalom, my friends. I hope you have a joyous Shabbat. I find a moment of joy, okay, every day, but especially we remember to do it on Shabbat. Special joy because we get an extra soul on Shabbat. We get strengthened with an extra soul. Let's sing that soul in. Bim bam, bim 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 bam. Bim 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 bam, bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat Shabbat Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. And I'll see you next week.